Hey guys, Karl here. Today we're going to be going over some lighting techniques and what the optimal size light is for a single light interview outside. I have the Aputure 300D Mark I right here. I've got a Godox VL150 right here. And lighting me at the moment is the Aputure 600D or white bounce card right here. And then I've got a black flag right here blocking out the sun. I want to see if these two lights will suffice either by themselves or together to give me the same look as the 600D will give me. This light right here, original price, I think they're still selling them on B&H or other places, about $1,000. You can get the Mark II version, I think, for $989. This guy, I think, cost me around $350, $400. I forget, I'll have to check that up again. I'll put the price right here for this guy. This has been a great light. I use it a lot for just, you know, either like a hair light, or I'll gel it up and use it in the background, or I use it a lot for product videos or photography also, just because it's cheap and I can kind of throw it around, put it up high, throw it in different places. Pretty inexpensive, but yeah, you can go all the way around, so you can put it in multiple locations and positions. Overall, pretty good light for the price. I would recommend this if you don't want to spend the extra money and get like a 600D or the 300D or the 300D Mark II. You can still find like the 120Ds, those are great lights. So I'll throw one of these guys on and we'll see if we can kind of match up to either single or together to the 600D, and like what the minimum is you actually need for a look like this. We'll adjust ISO and aperture and everything also, just to be able to get to this look, I'm sure. So without further ado, we're gonna go with the 150 first. So as you can see, this is the Godox 150 at 100%. It's much darker. I left the camera at the same, left the light in the same position, so that way you can kind of get a gist of what this light will do by itself in this type of setup. So I'm gonna adjust all the settings on the camera. We'll see if I can make it look okay. I am shooting this with the Sony 24-105 at f4 right now. ISO at 640. I just took off some ND, so that way you can kind of see the difference that I would have to make the backgrounds a little bit more blown out, so I don't get that really good look of same exposure, front and back. So I'm exposed properly at this point, maybe just a tad underexposed. All right, so here is the 300D Mark I, 100% capacity with the same settings I had on the original 600D. So as you can see, it's pretty dark on my face still. I think that I'm gonna have to increase the ISO by at least a couple stops. I just went up to 800, so I think that this is a good viable option. But if you had some diffusion, if you had like instead of just a black flag, if you were able to do a scrim, I think that'd probably be your best bet, because that way you let in a lot of light still, and then you can expose correctly off of the person instead of blacking it out. I took this option because honestly, like my scrim is huge, and I just wanted to set up a black flag to see what that would look like. So that way it's a little more contrasty. That way I'm creating this look of like cinematic interview is what I'm kind of going for. So let me darken up the background quite a bit and light up me properly, and let's see what that looks like. So as you can see here, I have the 300D at full blast, a white bounce up above me, a white card over here that's also bouncing onto this side of my face right now. So the 300D is trying its hardest to light me properly, but I don't know if this is actually going to be sufficient. So the only other thing I could think of is if we were to add a secondary light, which is the 100 right here with another light dome, just to light it from both sides, and that way I can get a little bit more light on me, and I can darken up my background to kind of bring that exposure level, if you will. So we're gonna try that setup right now. As you can see with the two light setup, the 150 and the 300D, I can almost achieve that perfect exposure as I'm looking at the waveform right now of background and me being exposed the same way. I have a ND on right now, the 2-5 Polar Pro matte box, and I'm at 12,800 ISO, f4 on my Aputure, 1/50th of a second. And this is pretty good. This is probably as good as I can get it when it comes to even exposure front and back. So in post, I'm able to probably set this up. I'll throw up a color grade here so I can show you what I can do with this on the back end. I also have a bounce card over here, kind of just giving me a little bit of highlight on my back of my face and neck, just kind of separate me a little bit more from the background. And that's about it. 2 light setup. I'm gonna throw the 600D back up again with the 150, just to kind of give you a better idea of how I could probably make it almost perfect with those 2 lights. For outdoor lighting, it's probably best to compete with the sun. You're gonna need 2 lights, and you're gonna need some pretty strong lights. The 300D and the 150 with enough, you know, moving around and getting your settings right will work. But I think that 600D is imperative for this type of work, really. So I'm gonna set that up right now, and we'll see what it looks like. 600D with a 150 over here, and I think this is the ideal situation. We have adequate light on me, the background just a little bit higher, but I could probably bring that down in post. So we'll see what that looks like. I'll throw a grade over this right now so you can kind of see what that is. I love this look. I think for outside interviews, this is a great look to have because you could really make it dynamic. You could get a slider on here and do like a you know, either a push in or a side, or you can get a secondary camera and get another angle of this. I just think this looks so good. And really, the more light you have, the more you can achieve when it comes to adjustments and the way you finally want to make it look. You could really expose that background perfectly for your subject. I even think if I throw the 300D on right here and the 600D together, it'll really highlight me and I can separate myself from the background. In fact, why not? Let's just do it real fast. Let's just see what it looks like. All right, so as you can see, I've kind of maxed out my power now. We're not able to go through the breaker, so it's maxing it out. So I've got the 300D and the 600D, and as you can see, my background is properly exposed. I'm dark. This is actually probably a good thing to show you, so I can show you the difference between now and with the lights on. So let me flip the lights back on and we'll do this scene again. I have to do it quick because I think I'm gonna bounce out of power again. Maybe I need to run them both at about 80% and see what that looks like. All right, we'll come back here in 1 second. Okay, so we're at 100 over here and 85 over here. This looks pretty good. This will probably be my, darn it. Let me try something else real fast. So far, this one's holding. We'll see if it works better or not. So this is the 300D with a 600D Mark I and just the standard not pro version over here. Again, I think you just need as much light as you can to compete with that sun, especially when it's just like a beautifully blue sunny day today. Like it is just direct sun on me. So complete black flag up here, create a little contrast, a white bounce, 2 lights with both light domes. So just to wrap this video up, you're definitely gonna need a couple of light sources to deal with the sun. It's nice to be able to block out the light. I can open my eyes all the way. I've got 2 lights coming in, both very soft, and I can really adjust that background and myself as need be. With that said, I think you need a 600D and a 300D. It's only like a couple $1,000s, right? No big deal. But in reality, like we have to have these tools to do this job and to get this look. And this look, personally, for an outdoor interview, it's so ideal just to have this type of a feel to it. You can tell the difference. The only thing I think would make this better is if I had a scrim, because I could really use the sun's light to light me better than 2 lights could. So I'll get one. We'll test this out again at some point. But for now, black flag, 2 lights, works pretty well. Do you want to see what it looks like without that? Because I could take this and adjust all this so you can kind of see the difference between the 2 of them. So here this is, like this right now. So as you can see, this is not the ideal look. This is definitely going to be run and gun, super dirty. I've got this huge like light, like hat light on my eyes, if you're interviewing like a farmer out in the field or something, this is just not the way you want it to look. So a couple lights, maybe, you know, the only other thing I think of right now that would look better than this, if you want to do something really quick, is just throw up a quick scrim in the sun. It'd give you that nice diffused soft light. You still have some of these shadows underneath. You could put a bounce if you want to really be like quick and dirty about it. You could put a bounce underneath, so that way, dog barking, you could put a bounce underneath to kind of get rid of some of this stuff. That way it would look a little bit better. It depends on what you're going for, what the exact look is that you're trying to get. This to me is not what I want. I wanted the other look. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you want to. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you in advance if you do. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.